What's up, guys? It's your girl Am, and I am back with another episode for my podcast, Am I Grown Yet? As you guys know, this month we are talking about New Balance, and I thought what better way to end off this month without a conversation. So today I have a special guest with me, and he's going to give a quick introduction about what he does, who he is, and then we're going to jump right into today's episode. So without further ado.
What's up, guys? My name is Christopher Guerrier, also known as CNG Fitness. I'm a personal trainer. A little quick story about me. I didn't always look like this. At one point, I used to weigh 367 pounds, and within 18 months, I was able to actually lose 130 pounds. I was able to transform my body, train a lot of different clients, and now I'm kind of here to share my story. So here I am.
So if it's not obvious already, the reason why I had Chris come on the show today is because in the last couple episodes we discussed the importance of forgiveness, the importance of being in tune with ourselves, but it's also important to be physically in tune with yourself, which is why the title of this episode is Mind, Body, Soul. So the reason why I also had Chris here is because of his amazing journey, and I feel that it's so important to not only feel good internally, but feel good on the outside. If you're happy with your outer appearance, everything else will pretty much just follow. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Our connection with our mind, our body, and our soul. So Chris, we can start with you. I told you I'm drilling you today.
Let's do it.
So my first question for you is, what effect does looking good have on you? Do you feel like having a physical appearance is important? Like, there's some people I feel like don't really care how they look, but do you feel like it has something to do with your mental? Like, how do you feel about it?
I feel as though that, like, when you start looking good, like, you feel good, and then when you feel good, you just do better. It's like, when I was a bigger guy, I didn't really care too much about, like, personal appearance. I mean, like, I always wanted to make sure I was groomed, but at the same time, it was like, when it came to working out or like just looking good or feeling good, like being in your own personal shell, I didn't really care about that too much. Once I started losing the weight, and then people started telling me, "Oh, you look really good. You look well. You're starting to like slim up. Like you look slimmer." That gave me like a confidence boost and made me want to try on new clothes or go to the mall and buy new things, or go in the pool because now I'm not afraid to take off a shirt or something like that. So it was kind of like you were able to kind of have a full 360 switch. So I think that it definitely changed a lot once I was able to lose the weight.
So in your weight loss, so I'm pretty sure that there was a different type of mindset that had to shift as well when you lost the weight. Yeah. Would you say that let's talk about before you lost this weight. Where were you mentally when you were this 300-pound guy? Like, were you, because you have a very inviting personality, so were you always this person that was good with engaging in conversation? Like, were you always able? And then another part I want to touch on is getting into the dating scene, and then getting into like the work field. Like, what was your life before this weight loss?
Before this weight loss, okay, so let's see, pre-weight, like pre-COVID. No, when I was a bigger guy, I was still the same inviting personality that I am today. The same guy. The biggest difference was that I didn't really like love myself too much, and like why I say it, but like the reason why I say it is like, when you wake up every day and you're looking at yourself in the mirror, and you kind of just like have in the back of your mind that you should go to the gym today, or you should not be eating certain things today. You still do it. It's kind of like you're not really loving yourself because you're just doing more harm to yourself. So long story short, before this, I was still a very fun guy. I used to not party all the time, but I would go out, eat a lot. I was always just like a video game guy as well. When I decided to make a change, it was a very long story, but I'm gonna cut it short. I had something called like costochondritis. It was pretty much like an inflammation of my rib cartilage. I kept feeling like chest pains, and I would go to the doctor, go get an EKG, stress test. Your heart's fine. I used to think as if my heart, I was always freaking out, so much anxiety. And my doctor told me you can take these blood pressure medications and you should be fine. 21, 22 years old. So I'm like, I don't want to take this stuff. It's kind of weird. I was eating some Chinese food. Like, it was so funny. I'm eating some Chinese food, and I put on Netflix, and I watched this documentary called What the Health, and it's a vegan documentary, and the documentary is basically saying that fast food, dairy, and all this other stuff causes inflammation. My doctor never told me about like changing your diet, so I was like, okay, let me just try it. Within a week, just going vegan, I lost maybe like 15 pounds, which was crazy. And then I also like had no more like inflammation. Like before, I couldn't do a push-up. Every time I would try to take a deep breath, it would hurt. I wasn't feeling that anymore within a week. So I was like, let me just keep doing this. And then 18 months later, went 130 pounds. And at that point, it was kind of like I was playing video games, maybe let's say 6 hours on a Saturday, just like having fun with the boys, to let me trade in my system because this is a distraction. I would go to the gym almost like 3 to 5 times a week, just like almost every day working. So it's like a full mental switch change because once I saw the results, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna keep going. So there you go.
So you went from a 300-pound male who was playing the game,
playing video games, yep,
eating whatever you wanted to,
eating a lot of poor choices. I was a sucker for let's see, fast food. Can we talk about fast food, like the actual? Okay, but pretty much I was eating a lot of burgers, like pizza, just a lot of just junk food, you can say, and it was just not good for me at all. Like I wasn't a big soda drinker, but I could definitely drink juices all the time. But my diet was just like not good. It was not a good diet at all. But I was able to switch and like and change up.
So when you started to work out, right? Do you feel, well, when you started to start shedding the weight off, did you start to feel like there were more things you wanted to do? Like, did your mind do this? I know you mentioned that, you stopped playing the game and stuff, but did your mind go into this shift where it's like, okay, maybe I can start taking up this new hobby, or maybe I can start this business, or maybe I can start, like, where did your mind go? Because for me, when I was on my little fitness journey to get big or whatever, I know when I was working out, I was in like this phase where I would work out really late, but while I was working out, it was like my mind was just so open. I was thinking about, what my next goals were. It just kind of put me in like this different mind frame. So like for you, this is like, this is your lifestyle. And I feel like if you are on some sort of like weight loss or weight gain, it needs to be a part of your lifestyle. So like for you, like what else do you feel came along with, your mindset changing with this weight loss? I know you stopped the video games, but like I see you have like, your CNG fitness now. So like what's that about?
So many things changed within, I would say, a couple of months of just working out, because I was only trying to lose, because I started at 367. I was probably only trying to lose like, I wanted to get out of the 300s. So losing 60 pounds was kind of like my goal. When I was able to lose like 40 pounds within like 3 months, I was kind of 3 or 4 months, it became like you can do more. So as I started thinking about more, I wasn't thinking of training or making money or doing anything to like inspire anybody. I was kind of like just doing it for myself. But the thing that I wanted to do, which helped me a lot, was I wanted to make sure I had full accountability on Instagram. So I would post pictures and videos almost every day of just my progress, and people would be able to see me. And these are like pictures without my shirt on, and like this is like kind of like facing my insecurity of like showing people what I really look like. But I wanted to do it because if people see me like that and they're encouraging me to keep doing more, I will do more at this point. And that's what kind of like switched for me. Within like a year of it, I'm down 100 pounds. That's when people start telling me, yo, what are you doing? How can you do this? Like, I want to learn from you. But training still wasn't like in that mindset, because I still felt like there was so much more I need to do. I still feel like there's so much more I need to do even on my personal level. But once I was able to get down to 130 pounds, I was working one job, and somebody said, listen, I think if you go for your certification, you can become a trainer, and I think you'll do like very well in that. I said, okay, let me try it. Instantly, a lot of people just gravitated towards me because I started off at such a high weight. How did you do it? What did you do? went vegan, changed my lifestyle, worked out almost five days a week. This is what you have to do. So it became like instantly kind of almost like overnight. I had these mindsets of I could train, I can sell like business plans, workout plans, I can promote more videos on myself. This brand came out because CNG stands for my initials, Christopher Nathaniel Guerrier, but CNG Fitness stands for Creating Natural Gains. So it's like, I did it the vegan way, I did it a plant-based way. I didn't stray away from that. Didn't take any like crazy supplements. I honestly just did everything a natural way. So that's kind of the way that this is me. And I always do this type of pose in my videos anyway. So in the gorilla, my last name is Guerrier. In French that means warrior. So it's like and my mom's maiden name is Laguerre, which actually means the war. So it's kind of like it's something, you know what I'm saying? So like the gorilla just represents me, that like I was able to start off in one area. And when you also think of a gorilla, most of them are plant-based eaters. They just eat like leaves, but they're super strong. They don't like attack unless being attacked. So it's kind of like the way that I am too. So all that kind of changed within like 6 to 12 months of like really ramping up the weight loss. And then it became the next thing.
So I want to touch on mindset now, because mindset for me, I feel like is major. As you guys know, in my past episodes, mindset and just being around the right people has really been how I've gotten to where I am right now.
Yeah.
So with the shift that you made, I can only imagine that there were people that were a part of this old lifestyle that you had, that probably was used to the old Chris, used to the old, big Chris going out doing this and all that.
That was my nickname.
But yeah, so with mindset, because what I'm finding, and we were talking about this off camera, not even just with the whole fitness thing, but just mindset. When you're going through a shift, or at least I know for me, I've noticed that certain people that were in my life, a part of my old lifestyle, they kind of just shrugged themselves off. And it happened naturally. It didn't happen from like us going through like this major fight or something major happened.
Yeah,
it was just
gradually over time.
Exactly. It just happened along with the change that I was making for myself. So like for you, did you feel like there were people who that were a part of that old lifestyle, and then it was just kind of like?
I would say that when I first started, I've tried to lose weight before like my transition. So some of my friends kind of thought it was going to be a phase, kind of like they supported me, but they didn't take it serious at first. So it would always be like, Chris eating grass because he's vegan. Like, like every time I go to a restaurant, like, oh, he'll have the salad. It was always jokes. And, you don't take them, you take them the right way because they're your friends, of course. I would definitely say that not playing the video games. I have a lot of mature friends, but not playing the video games, not always being around like the guys became a distraction. Kind of like, where's Chris? He's at the gym. Like, if you want to contact me or find me, like, you can find me there. So it's kind of like some people had to understand and learn that he's not the same person that he is anymore. He doesn't have the same free time that he has anymore. He's always a busy guy. So I have a lot of friendships that, like, I have a lot of brothers who I love to this day, and we don't talk all the time, but it's still like they understand, and I understand what they're doing. And it's kind of like, as long as there's like a mutual understanding, that we're fine. I try not to create any type of like toxic or like bad relationships or bad vibes between people, but one thing about me is that, like, at least if I know that we're good and you're good and we're good together, that's all that kind of like that's all that really matters to me. So everyone understands that, like, Chris doing a podcast today, I did 2 trainings today, I worked out today, so like I did so many things today, did a couple of edits as I was here. So it's like I'm so busy, and sometimes my mind is so many places. By the time I want to relax or go out and maybe hang out with some of the guys, I'm already like, I gotta train somebody at 6 a.m. I don't feel like doing that. So if I flake, they understand. But at one point, it was kind of like what's going on? But they understood eventually.
The reason why I asked is because even with me doing this podcast, outside of it being a pandemic, I know that I have some friends, even some family members, who say to me, they're like, yo, we don't see you no more. Like, what's up? Like, what you been doing? Whatever. And then it's like, not
Hollywood.
Right. And it's like, not only that, it's like, I'm working from home as well. and then I'm in a relationship now, so like that takes up time, and it like that takes up some of my time too. So for me, I feel that with this shift, that's what the last episode was. It was mindset shift. I was just trying to think about that. But yeah, it's like while I'm in this shift of like this new like mindset and everything, it's my lifestyle now.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm the same way. I don't feel that it's necessary to have like burn bridges and it just be like a toxic way of like letting people go. Sometimes it's needed, I don't know, but like for the most part, you know, a lot of the people that I was in like friendships with or just close relationships with, like I don't speak with them as often, and it's just because of where I am in this part of my life.
Like there's nothing wrong with that either, because that's just growth. And that's the thing, because as you're like going on like further and further into your life, to me, I always learned that like friendships are kind of like everyone plays a role. So that's kind of the mindset that I've always had in my life, that this is like a big play, right? This is like a big movie, right? And everyone plays their role. At one particular point, I've had best friends who were like number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 on my call list, like from, let's say, being 10 years old to like 20 something, early 20s. And then as you get in relationships, like one friend gets out of that top 3, and then your girl gets in there, then maybe somebody else gets in there, and then it's like by the time you look, like the people that you always used to call aren't there, but it's still love. So it's like everyone plays a role, and even if you're going to be a main role in my life at one point, and then you move into a supporting cast role later on, I still value that friendship and that relationship because of what we had. But sometimes that's just how it is. Like people move, people have different jobs, you know, people get married, relationships can definitely like bring that down too. Because I know in a couple of, you know, my relationships, that also was like a problem. Like, you know, Chris is always hanging out with such and such, and you know, that was always a big thing. But eventually people understand when they get in their own relationships or when they're doing their own thing that, you know what, it's not that easy trying to be everywhere all at once.
I think that is super, super important to have people who are either gearing towards the same goals as you when you're in that phase of shift, or at least people who are going to support you from a distance. Like some people you really do just have to love from a distance. Like I have people who I've been friends with for years, like from childhood, and I've gone through different stages in my life, as I'm sure like you have as well. But it's just like certain people, they just kind of get comfortable where they are.
Yep, they're comfortable with that role.
Yeah, they're comfortable. And then there's also those people who are comfortable with you being who you were before. And it's like when you do change, and it's not like in a bad way, it's for growth, they see it as like, you know, you switching up, like, you know, you think you better than, and it's like those are the type of people that you kind of think back, like, yo, were we ever really friends?
You know, that like that's exactly how I feel, because like the way that I do it is that even though some of those people, like we talked about, they're not there anymore, I feel that gap with positive people, people who are like better than me in certain situations, because especially in this training community, I've always wanted to like be around mentors, because like you never want to be the smartest person in the room. You kind of want to be someone, like you want to be a sponge and soak up everything. So when I learn that somebody has a lot of information that's valuable that can help me out, I want to learn from them, and I kind of want to be around them more compared to what I've been used to. And it's not like a knockoff to my friends or anything like that. It's kind of like you want to get to this next level. You see somebody that's already there, and then you want to surpass them, so you want to keep moving up. And if your friends don't move up with you, or they're not moving in their like respected like spot, it's kind of like, you know, some people will get left back, but you still keep that, you know, that olive branch, like that arm's length reach. You can still grab them, you know, just in case to help them up. But if they're not doing it for their own benefits, kind of like, I'm not trying to look back on, you know, the prize is over there. So
I don't know. For me, my issue is when there are those friends who kind of don't see that, okay, maybe the reason why I'm not hearing from them is because they're actually doing something. Like if, in your case, like you've been working out, you've been doing what you've been doing at the start, I mean, so it should have been obvious, like, okay, Chris is doing this. Like maybe the reason why I haven't heard from him is because he's trying to be productive. And it's like, for me in my situation, even before the podcast, like I've always been goal driven. So it's like my mindset has always changed, and it's usually for the better. So I just don't get why there are some friends, family members who kind of have that issue where they just feel entitled to just want to be involved and just like, you know.
I definitely think that's like, you have a lot of individuals who honestly they just want to hold on to you, and sometimes that's not a bad thing. It's kind of like, you know, it's like a parent, they don't want their child to grow up because they want to kind of keep that child still like underneath their roof. They don't want them to go out because they want to kind of still be that only person that child kind of loves and cares about. So it's the same thing as you're growing as a person. People can see that. So it's like, the more you grow, the less we're going to be around. And if they know that already, then they try to hold on to that. And sometimes the worst way they can go around is by just avoiding you, or just being like a negative Nancy, and like that just makes the situation even worse. So I know, like with my own experience, you know, I had a situation with my ex where I used to always hang out with her all the time, and all of my friends used to hate it because either I would flake on them doing stuff, or like they wouldn't even invite me certain places because they just assumed that he's gonna be with his girl. So when that relationship kind of ended, and I became like, and I was still like doing my training, it was almost the same situation because people were like, oh, he's probably busy because he's training, do all these things. And I would tell them, like, I would, you know, cancel some stuff and move some stuff around just to be included. You know, it still feels nice to be included sometimes. So you kind of have a little bit of both. But eventually, as I started training more and more and more, I had more people that started realizing that, okay, he's doing things that are more important. No more jokes, no more being rude. It's kind of like when things are still being around, like parties, I get invited to, and you know, it feels good to still have like that connection. You know, it's also my responsibility to kind of reach out to, just to make sure that everything is still good and there's nothing like to be like worried about.
I feel like when you are in the middle of making that kind of decision, I feel like what plays a part of it is having balance. I feel like having balance makes it super easier to know when to not hang out with friends, know when to spend time with your significant other, know when to apply pressure to the goal you're trying to do, you know? So before we get into the next part of the conversation, we're gonna close out this segment. So stay tuned for our next part.